Okay, once again, good evening, everyone. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Good. Somebody's raising hand. I've not started. We're having questions. Let me see the person raising hand. Or is it a mistake? Somebody's laughing. Okay, type your question, please. I can't see the person raising hand. Just type your question as usual. I will go through it and respond accordingly. So I'll be using slide for today's class. Oh, it was a mistake. Okay, that's good. So let me know if you can see this slide. Just give me thumbs up if you can see it. Perfect. So we are in week 7. We are actually going. So, and we're looking at JavaScript Basic. Today we'll be looking at this third thing. We have why QA engineers need programming. Then we'll look at variables, and then we'll look at data types. So these are the things we'll be looking at today. So let's move ahead as we now the first is why QA engineers need programming. If you look at what we have here, so I just decided to bring it up. I'll share this with you later, so we could all have it, the note, right? So QA is not just manual testing, it also involves automation, scripting, data handling, and debugging. Programming helps with writing test script in Postman, building automation in Cypress, Playwright, understanding API responses, and test data. So people actually, there's this misconception that people have about QA at that initial stage. Oh, I want to go into tech, but I don't just want to write code. I don't want to write code. I want a soft landing. And you hear people say, go to QA, right? It's a very wrong, it's a misconception. A very, very wrong one. A very wrong idea that people have that in QA you don't write code. It's a very big misconception because at the end of the day, when you don't write code, let me explain what happens with a QA who writes code and a QA who does not write code. A QA who does not write code is like a driver who does not understand the functionality of the engine, who does not understand anything about the engine. He's just driving the vehicle, right? So at any point where the vehicle stops him, he's going to be stranded, and he will have to call an automobile engineer who comes in and fix that vehicle. Am I making sense? Now, someone who writes code, who understands programming, a QA who writes code is like an automotive engineer who is now a driver, right? So he's an engineer and then he's a driver. At any point where the vehicle breaks down, he has his tools. Or he just need to get down to the boot of his vehicle, pick his tools, fix his vehicle, get back to the steering, and move on. So do we now see the differences? I'm just kind of trying to bring it to real life scenarios, right? Are you guys hearing me at all? Good. So have I been able to, bring these two scenarios into real world, real life events? So this is actually how it is with a QA who is just a manual and a QA who understands programming. So when you actually understand programming, your what you can do, right, is limitless in QA space. And recently, things are evolving. If you see QA job offers when they are posting for jobs, you'll see that they will tell you knowledge of JavaScript, knowledge of Java is a plus, right? Sometimes they will even tell you this person must know JavaScript or TypeScript. You should be able to know this. Why are they saying that? Because it helps you. You will you will be able to see the developer's code and understand what they are saying. You might not really go in depth into the code, but with from what the understanding you have in JavaScript or TypeScript or Java, as the case may be, you will be able to see the code they are writing and understand what they are saying. So it is very, very important that as a QA, you are able to trans from manual to automation, right? And for you to actually do that, you have to learn programming. And one of the key um, language in QA programming is JavaScript and Java. Now, I'll be taking JavaScript because most of the courses we'll be taking, Cypress is written in JavaScript, can be written in JavaScript, Playwright JavaScript, Postman JavaScript. So you see that all these languages, right? They are all built in Selenium too. You can use so many languages to work with Selenium, Java, JavaScript, Python, as the case may be, and all that. But um, I'll be taking I'll be taking in this our 12-week curriculum. I'll be taking after the JavaScript now. I'll be taking Cypress. That is where we'll be ending for this 12 week. Then we'll now move. Everybody here now will migrate to pros. Then we advance our course. All of those knowledges are also free. You are not paying for the pros class. They will also come free. But at that time now, we'll now be going deeper into most of the things that we have done here. I hope I am making sense, right? So this is actually why we are encouraging QAs to actually write programs, understand at least one program, right? At least, because Cypress that you'll be writing, what are you going to be using to write it? Cypress is more or less is a framework. The mother language is JavaScript. Playwright too is built on JavaScript. So you'll be writing JavaScript. Are you getting me? So if you don't understand the mother language, how do you just jump into framework? And then because you just begin to write. At the end of the day, when you have core features to automate, you get lost. You get lost when issues are coming up. You have to write data structures, and you have to sit down, feature out the algorithm on how this thing is going to work. You just get lost. You don't even know what to do. You have to write JavaScript functions for these things to actually work. You will be lost because all you know is you just went straight into Cypress. So it's not done. The foundation is the mother language, that is where I'm starting this. So I know many people will be confused. What concerns QA with JavaScript? What we'll be doing going forward now is going to be based on JavaScript. So when we enter Cypress and we begin to write JavaScript code, you will not be lost. Yes. Are we learning the same way Java programmers are learning? Yes. At the end of the day, you are a programmer. So when they begin to ask you, can you write code? Jesus Christ. Yes, but don't worry, I will break it down, right? I will so break it down that you will understand. Writing code becomes easy for you, right? Uh, I will try my best, right? I will try my best. You will understand it. I will. So, yes, you are going to be learning it the same way programmers are learning. So, when we finish this course, you can say, I am a programmer. Yes, invariably you are. Are you getting it? Because you'll be writing programs. So, that that is what you are going to get from here. And all this knowledge, like I've already said, is free. You are not paying me for. And on top of that, I've now hired somebody who will be assisting you after I have left the class. The person is going to be assisting you. You don't understand. Go to Peter. Peter will teach you more. It will give you more insights to what I've given you. Assist you with the assignments, right? What else? What else could anyone ask for? Okay, so this is it for what we have. I hope now that you understand why QA engineers need programming. I don't know if I've been able to clarify this area. Have I? Give me thumbs up now so I can move. If I have not, I will have to return back. Okay, thank you. So now the next is we'll now move into variables. So we have always been using that word. If you remember, when we are writing script, when we're automating our Postman, I was always using that word variable. I believe it's no longer new to us. I want to create a variable. I want to create a variable. I keep saying it. So we'll create a variable. We use the word let this or const this, const this is equal to that and all that. So we've been using that. Now that variable we're creating is actually called from Java, it's a JavaScript. So what is variable? I believe I've also said this earlier. Variables are containers for storing data values. That's what they do. So you store data. The function of that data actually, you create a variable for it. When you create a variable, you just give it a name. Everything that the data compute is stored in that name that you've assigned to the variable, right? So that is just it. So what do they allow us to do? They allow us to store information, manipulate it, reuse it across our program. And again, let me move this up. In JavaScript, we mainly use length and const, right? Now I will explain all of this. The older keyword before ES6 is var. You use var this, var whatever. But yes, it's still in existing, but it's generally discouraged. And I will explain why it is discouraged as we move on, right? So just take note that in JavaScript, when we are creating a variable, we use let or const. Now I will explain why I will explain the difference between the two, and then the point we have to use let and the point at which you have to use const, and why you should not use var any longer. I will explain all of this as we move forward. So the first is let. We already have it. Now the let is when we talk about let, changeable within a block. So what we mean is that with let, you can reassign your value. What do I mean? So we're going to be writing code as I'm explaining. I'm not just going to be doing theory. So let me know if you can see my next. Yeah. So this is what we'll be using, one compiler. So please don't don't do what I'm doing. Just concentrate on the video, watch me. Later, I strongly believe that this video will be fine and we will post it as usual. Then any area you don't understand, reach out to Peter, right? So if you look at this now, this can be reassigned. Now, when we talk about creating variable, I could just say we are used to that, but now let age, I want to assign age, and I will give it this value 25, right? Now, what we are now saying is that this is the variable I've created, and I've assigned 25 to this age. So what this now means is that if I want to call my age, I want to send it to the console. All I just need to do is to say console.log. Instead of putting 25 here, wait, let me now remember, we've been doing this too. In programming, we have what we call commenting. I've explained this earlier. When you comment, it means that that lines that you've commented will not run. It just commenting is just a line that is used to explain what the code below it is actually working, doing, or whatever. So I want to comment this line because I don't want it to run. So for you to comment, you say, for those using Mac, command forward slash, command equal, yeah, command forward slash. Then for those using Windows, command is control. So you use control forward slash. So if I put this console.log, I want to put 25 and let me run it. You're going to have 25 here. Now, but I don't want to run and any number I put here is actually going to be showing here. But see, I want this thing, let's assume now this thing is dynamic and or this is actually some lines of code. It's long and I've assigned everything here to this variable age. What that means is that if I want to output everything that this code has run, all I need, I don't need to put all of them again here, copy everything and put here. All I don't need to do is to reference age. We already know this. We've been doing this on Postman. I believe we know this, right? All I need to do is to just reference age. And when I reference age, when I run, it's giving me 25. Have you seen this now? So I don't need to come here and be manipulating this. So this, anything I put here is what I will see. 25. When I put 30, 30, I'm going to get, when I run it, I will get 30. So this is clear, right? So what we are now saying here is that it can be reassigned. What does that mean? What this means is that this is age. I've initialized age to be 30, right? I can now come back here and say that age, the next line, that age is no longer 30, but 25. Now let me run it again. See what happened. Have you seen the magic? What has now happened is that I have reassigned age to 25. Do you get this? Are you seeing this difference now? So at this stage, when it ran the first line, it saw that age was 30. Now it ran the second line and say, no, this age that was 30 has now been reassigned to 25. Okay, it means that age is no longer 30, but now 25. So when you console.log age, now when you ask for age, it's not going to give you this one now because it has now seen another line that has overridden this one. So it is going to give you this one. So if I change this now to 15, what is going to give me is 15. No, you've seen it. So what we are saying that let can be reassigned. So you can update its value as you go on. Now, we now say again that is block. Oh, I should go back. So what we are saying here is that is block scoped. It's only accessible inside a block where it is declared. Now let me explain. How best can I explain this? Let's say I want to, let me use an if statement. We will explain if statement eventually, so don't get confused. Now, this is a block code. So let's assume that, what do we even want to say and say, let state equal Lagos. So we'll say console.log state. Now look at what's going to happen here. I'm getting an error. Did you see that? So now let's assume that, because why am I getting an error? for if statement to work, you have to give it, there must be a condition. That is if statement. I'm not actually teaching if statement. When I'm teaching if statement, we'll do justice to it. So for if statement to work, there must be a condition, and that condition must be met for that if statement. So if that condition is met, you get your response. If the condition is not met, you will not get your response. But now, so that condition is inside this bracket. You give that condition inside this bracket. An error is being thrown because there's no condition given. So condition has to be given. So let's say that I will just put true. When I say true, now what I mean is that yes, there is a state. I'm initializing a state to be Lagos. Do you understand? So once I console.log this now, it should run and give me just hold on. Okay. So can anyone see why we are having this error? Okay, let's not waste time. Now, you literally cannot see it. Now, if you look at Lagos, try to take variable out of if statement. No, it's not. Lagos, God bless you, Ralph Ofime. That's it. Lagos is not a string. So if you look at Lagos, now for those who are beginners, newbies, I put Lagos is wrong because Lagos is a string. It's not a number. It's only numbers and booleans. We'll talk about that in data type. Booleans. Boolean is true or false. Number is just number that you are allowed to just type in like this, true or false, right? For string, you have to put your quotation mark. I believe this is quotation mark, right? So that is why we are having this error. So yeah, I didn't put string. That was why that error was coming in. Okay. So I want to run. Now you see that we no longer have error because I've now put Lagos as a string. So now this condition has been met. If true, let state equal Lagos, console.log state. Now what we are saying here is that is a block scope. It's only accessible inside a block where it is declared. Now look at this. Look at, so if I go outside this, let me move this now. I want to cut this, right? Now I have declared this variable. State has been initialized to Lagos, right? And I now come here outside the block. Remember, this is the block, this is the block, this block, this brace is here, right? So the block open here with this brace and then close with this brace. And now go outside the block and console.log. Please take note of these things. Why are we actually doing this? Because we are going to enter Cypress after now. You will be having some errors. You don't just have to start writing any lines. You understand? Why is this error now? Let me do try by error. You copy this one, you move it outside a block. An error come again, you're like, what is, you should know that let is block scoped. What we are saying here is that everything about the block, the Java, let has to be accessed within the block where it is declared. So you cannot access it outside the block where it is declared. Now, I want to now access this one now outside this block state. Then I'm coming here to command console.log state. Let me run it. It's going to throw error. Why? Because I am trying to access this variable outside the block. It has been declared inside this block. Now I'm coming outside the block to come and access it. It won't work. So it's block scoped. So do we now understand when we say that something is block scoped in JavaScript? Perfect. Now the next one says that it cannot be redeclared in the same block. Take note of this. There's difference between redeclaration and reassignment. Redeclaration is completely different from reassignment. Let's see the difference. We are saying that it cannot be redeclared within the same block. It cannot be redeclared in the same block. Very, very important. Now let's see. Now we are in this block. We had this before. We had this. Look at the difference. We said let age equal 25, right? And then we reassigned age. I just want to show you the difference between reassignment and redeclaration. We reassign age to 20 and it worked. So when we console.log, when we console.log age, I have to comment this for the code to run. When we console.log age, when we console.log age, we have 20. We are good, right? Now, this is reassignment. We've reassigned age to 20, no longer 25. What we are now saying, so take note of this. I want to keep this code here, but I have commented this so it will not run. I want to uncomment this. What we are now saying is that let cannot be redeclared in the same block. Now, I have declared state to be Lagos, right? I cannot redeclare, means that I will not say let again state equal I can say Abuja. It's going to throw error. It's going to throw error. So now I will come here and say console.log state. Now let me run this. It's throwing error because it's confused. So are you seeing difference between reassignment and redeclaration? When I'm reassigning, this let does not come back. Take note of this. Am I making sense, please? So it cannot be redeclared in the same block. Take note of this. But it can be reassigned. So if I remove this let, what have I just done? I've just reassigned state to Abuja. So if I hit this now, we're going to get Abuja. So you see, are you seeing the difference between redeclaring and reassigning? Take note of that. So that's what we are saying here. So next, we'll look at const. The characteristics of const cannot be reassigned. If you look at let, see the difference. Let can be reassigned. Now, const cannot be reassigned. Are you seeing the difference? So let's look at const now. So I want to keep this block scope, and so here we're now saying const. We say const age is equal. Let me comment line number 2. Remember, because I've commented, it's not going to run. Const age is equal to 25. Now I run it. It's giving me 25. Now let me uncomment line 2. What have I just done? I've reassigned age to 20. I've now reassigned age and given it the value of 20. Now let me run this. It's going to throw me error. So const, you cannot reassign const. It's constant. Do you understand? Any value it holds is constant. It cannot be reassigned. Take note of that. So if you want to use, at what stage now do you now use let and you use const? You already know. When you know that this thing is dynamic, this value is going to be dynamic, is going to be changed, or you are going to assign it to another value eventually later, then you use let. But when you know that this value is not going to change, it's just this is what it is, then use const. And it's safer for you. So now, what is best practice? Best practice is that always use const. Pay attention. Best practice, always use const, except you know that this value is going to be reassigned. Not the other way around. Always use const, except you know that this value is going to be reassigned, that you can use let. Why? For security reasons too, const becomes handy, because if you have assigned a value that you know you don't want to reassign this value, and then you go and use let, when hackers come, they can reassign that value for you and then make a mess of your code. But when you know that this value is not going to be reassigned, then why that stress? Why giving hackers what they want? Why putting yourself in a situation where bug can come into your code? Just use const so that eventually it cannot be reassigned. You don't have to make mistake tomorrow. Not even hackers. You could somehow make mistake and reassign the value. You don't even know. This thing happens when you are writing so many lines of code, right? So best practice, always use const, except you know that this value is going to be reassigned, then you can use let. Am I making sense, please? Okay, thank you. So now we've gotten to understand that const cannot be reassigned. Then what other, just like let is block scoped. So I don't need to re-explain that again. Then must be initialized at declaration. Let's take note of this. Now, as let me say, um, for let, I can, what do we mean? Okay, let me put this const now. Let, I want to say this is let, right? Now, let can be declared without being initialized. Let can be declared. You can declare your variable without initializing it. But for const, once you declare that variable, you must initialize it. Now, let me explain this theory. Look at what I just did here. My line 1, I declare this variable age. Nothing is inside. So you do this when you are writing code. You don't know what will come into that variable. So what do you do? Is that variable is going to be dynamic. A lot of things are going to be in the variable. So, and maybe the state, it changes states at stage 1, or let's say, yeah, maybe at the first stage it holds a particular value, let's say 6. Then when you now go to after some lines of code has run, and then it goes to stage 2, the value changes again to 16, and there's this dynamic change going on. What you can do is, okay, at this stage, I don't know the value of um, this variable. So what do I do? Let me just declare it and let it be. So you now write your code and let your code carry out the function and assign whatever value that comes up into that variable. I don't know if I'm making sense. The code you've written, carry out the function, and then assign whatsoever the product is, the answer is now being assigned to this line 1 that you have declared, right? Look at what I just did here. I declared this variable age. I don't know what is going to come in, right? In line 2, I now decide to say, okay, this age is now 20. And line 3, I console.log age, it gives me 20. Now I can see put back my age to 50 and run it, it will give me back 50. So what I'm saying here is that you can declare it without initializing it. But you see, for const, so let's now copy this and paste. Then let me drop this. Then comment this and see const. Now let me run code. See, it's going to throw error for me. Once you declare, it must be initialized. Look at it, that's what I'm saying. Once you declare it, then it must be initialized. You cannot declare it and assign nothing to it. So far, am I making any sense? Are you people following, or you are going confused? I will be happy to come back, please. Please, I need more thumbs up. If you are following, I need thumbs up. If you are not following, give me thumbs down, please. I will be happy to come back. Thank you. I'm happy that you are following. So Const cannot be, once you declare const, you have to initialize it. Take note of that. I believe this is very, very clear, right? So we can move to our next slide and see what we have in our next slide. Good. var. Why avoid it? It's not a block scope. And that is a problem. So look at this block scope. Look at this. So now all of these things are actually, there's reason why we have let and const to be block scoped. I will explain it now. Is actually one, for security reasons, two, to avoid unnecessary bugs in your code, to avoid unnecessary mistakes. Sometimes you could be writing code, like hundreds of lines of code, and you mistakenly go and access a variable outside this block. You won't even know. Then your code is having issues, and you keep tracing this thing, to avoid all these things. ES6, it's okay. Let's make const and let block scoped. But you see, var is not block scope. Look at this. You remember when we handled this? Let's run this one now. It's going to run this. Remember, these ones are all commented, so it's not going to run.